On December 14th, 18-year-old Saqib was out with his former classmate, a 16-year-old girl, for a casual pizza and soft drink outing in Nasirpur, Uttar Pradesh. Next thing you know, both of them were arrested and Saqib was thrown in jail for allegedly trying to convert the girl under the premise of love. The evidence? A bunch of nosy villagers who saw them roaming around together a few times and were suspicious about what was happening. So obviously they told the police. In another instance, in Lucknow, a Muslim man was stopped from marrying a Hindu woman despite the consent of their parents minutes before the marriage ceremonies began. The police took action saying that they would first have to take permission from the state authorities. These are only 2 instances among 14 reported cases of the Uttar Pradesh police taking action against Muslim men who are allegedly trying to convert Hindu women by marrying them. The conspiracy called love jihad. These cases are being filed under the UP Prohibition of Unlawful Conversion of Religion Ordinance, which was cleared to punish Muslim men who are hatching the conspiracy of love jihad. As of December, at least 51 people have been arrested under this law after 14 cases have been lodged, of which only 2 are complaints from victims. So today, let's talk about this new law, what it says, and how it is being used in the glorious state of Uttar Pradesh. The Uttar Pradesh Prohibition of Unlawful Conversion of Religion Ordinance was cleared by the Yogi Adityanth government on November 28th last year. Notice the word ordinance here. What it means is that this law was cleared on an emergency basis without the approval of the assembly. What this big emergency was is still unclear. But then in New India, from agriculture reforms to establishing a homeopathy central council to laws on insolvency, everything is cleared on an emergency basis before the parliament or assembly gets a chance to have a say in it. So this one shouldn't really come as a surprise. Speaking of laws being passed without public scrutiny or approval from legislative bodies, Madhya Pradesh is also following suit after the cabinet cleared the Madhya Pradesh Freedom of Religion Ordinance, which is on the lines of what the UP law is. Yes, they named an anti-conversion law Freedom of Religion because sometimes our lawmakers like to troll people by using legal documents. But here's the thing, this is not the first time states are passing such laws. Over the years, several states have enacted the Freedom of Religion legislation to restrict religious conversions carried out by force, fraud or inducements. There is Odisha, who did it as far back as 1967, followed by Madhya Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, which did it twice, Gujarat, Himachal Pradesh, which also did it twice, Jharkhand and Uttarakhand. Now this whole issue is a bit complicated because these are laws which were passed by different states. So the provisions in all of them are a little bit different. Some of them have also been challenged in court. What I'll do to make your life easier is leave a link to an article by PRS Legislative who have done a comparison of each of these laws. Go have fun nerding out. For the purpose of this video though, we are going to stick to the latest kid on the block, which is in full-blown implementation mode, the Uttar Pradesh Ordinance. So what does this ordinance do? Well, overall, it is an attempt to restrict conversions, with an added layer on top making marriage-based conversions illegal. Plain and simple. This law defines conversion as an act of renouncing one's existing religion and adopting another religion, and says that people who want to convert will have to fill up a form and undergo a procedure. A procedure for conversion has been laid out for the person being converted and the person who is doing the conversion. They have to submit an advance declaration of the proposed religious conversion to the district magistrate 60 days in advance. On receiving both the declarations, the DM is required to conduct a police inquiry into the intention, purpose and the cause of the proposed conversion. It doesn't end there though. Once the conversion has taken place, the converted person must submit a declaration with various personal details to the district magistrate within 60 days from the date of conversion. The DM will then publicly exhibit a copy of the declaration till the conversion is confirmed and record any objections to the conversion. That's right, a notice will be available for the world to see and people walking by can just object to it. And then the converted person must appear before the DM to establish his or her identity within 21 days of sending the declaration to confirm the contents of the declaration. Whew. And violating any of these procedures will render the conversion illegal and void and will attract punishment. The punishment ranges from imprisonment between 6 months and 3 years and a fine of at least 10,000 rupees. And for the converter, the punishment is between 1 and 5 years and a fine of at least 25,000 rupees. Now, a few people watching this must be saying, "Ha, to this is fine only." What is the problem with undergoing a long bureaucratic process where random people can object while someone tries to change their way of life? They must prove why they want to stop worshipping one god and start worshipping another. Legitimate only. Yeah. चलो ठीक है, trust the bureaucracy. मेरे बाप का क्या जाता है? But according to me, the real problem with the law lies in the vague AF provisions which prohibit conversion. The ordinance says conversion of religion cannot be done through means such as force, misrepresentation, undue influence, allurement, fraud, or marriage. It also prohibits a person from abetting, convincing, and conspiring to such conversions. Allow me to tell you what some of these words actually mean. Allurement means temptation. A person cannot be convinced by tempting them with gift, gratification, easy money, employment, free education, better lifestyle, and divine displeasure. Wait, what the heck does divine displeasure mean, you ask? It's basically when some preacher type tells you that God will be flippin' mad if you don't do what the preacher tells you to do. Yeah. Then there is fraudulent means. It means conversion done by anyone who is pretending to be someone else by changing their name, identity, or religious symbol, which will also not be allowed. There is also undue influence, which means the unconscientious use by a person of their influence to persuade another person to act according to the influence of the person influencing the influencee. Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to explain that one. You interpret it and decide what all of this means, because that is exactly what the police and courts are going to do anyway after arresting people and slapping them with charges under this law. The terms in this law is like the ending of a Christopher Nolan movie. You interpret it however you want and then you keep fighting about it. Now let's come to the marriage part. There is a section in this law which says a marriage is liable to be declared void if it was done for the sole purpose of unlawful conversion. An interfaith marriage will only be allowed if the procedure which I mentioned earlier is followed. Any person who is related by blood, marriage, or adoption to the person involved in the marriage can file an FIR under this law if they see that the procedure is not being followed or it seems like there is something shady going on. What counts as shady? Yeah, well, that also Baju wali auntie can interpret however she wants. Christopher Nolan, same thing. Acha, as an aside, interfaith couples marrying under the Special Marriage Act also have to advertise their upcoming weddings 30 days before the wedding at the subdivisional magistrate's office. That already happens. But here's what is basically going on. Earlier, interfaith couples were like, "Nahi, hum shadi nahi kar sakte, mummy papa nahi manenge." After the passage of this love jihad law, the couples are saying, "Nahi, हम शादी नहीं कर सकते, चीफ मिनिस्टर, गवर्नमेंट, डिस्ट्रिक्ट मैजिस्ट्रेट, पुलिस, कोर्ट और रास्ते पे आते जाते रैंडम लोग जिनको हमारे बॉडीज और चॉइसेस को कंट्रोल करना है वो नहीं मानेंगे, और हाँ, अगर मम्मी पापा नहीं मानेंगे तो पुलिस जेल में भी डाल देगी. I mean, what gives?" And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the crux of the problem here. The right-wing extremist groups full of jobless incel type youths like Hindu Yuva Vahini, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and Bajrang Dal are roaming around the streets looking for interfaith relationships. Their sole purpose is to prevent Muslim men from enticing Hindu women into marriage and conversion. This law is a weapon which is being handed to them by the state to use the government machinery to stop such unions. You see, this law assigns the burden of proof of lawfulness of religious conversion to the persons causing or facilitating such conversions. Meaning, if I want to convert, I have to convince the district magistrate and the police that I am doing it out of my own free will and not due to divine displeasure or unconscientious use of influence by an influencer, or because I was tempted by the offer of easy money. Our ultra smart and completely unbiased babus will then take a call whether I am speaking the truth or not. As I record this, there are multiple reports coming in from UP about how this ordinance is being used. Our reporters are on the ground to uncover the truth of love jihad. Is it true or is it all hype? Do check out their reports on newslaundry.com. By the way, these reports and this explainer you're watching was funded by 109 of our readers who have contributed to make journalism great again. It was made possible thanks to Mayank Garg, Rahul Kohli and other NL Sena members. There are a lot more reports coming from this NL Sena project, so stay tuned. Big thank you to those of you who are supporting the work of our reporters and Newslaundry. If you haven't subscribed yet, you really should, because that's the only way such stories will be done and brought to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I just wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about the NL Sena initiative. Some of the investigative reports that we do which require a lot of travel and cost, like the Love Jihad project, our reporters had to travel to multiple cities in Uttar Pradesh and they are currently doing a lot of investigation on a case-by-case basis. That requires a lot of resources and money. So we put it out as an NL Sena project where we collect funds so that this investigation, this whole report can be funded. We have done more of these, like Assam, where the floods happen and the Brahmaputra swells up every year. We sent 2 reporters there and they traveled around and they have produced 5 reports from there. Do check them out as well. We did that with Delhi riots and we are coming up with more projects soon. So to check out our past projects and keep an eye on the future ones, you can go to newslaundry.com/Sena, newslaundry.com/Sena, where you can contribute and you can keep journalism alive and help us do more investigative pieces, more in-depth stories, and stories which, well, nobody else wants to do. Subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free.